Hey, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a provocative topic, the lies religion tells you. Religion has been central to human history, shaping cultures, laws, and personal beliefs for millennia. Yet, have you ever questioned some of the stories or doctrines you've accepted without scrutiny? Whether you've grown up in a devout household or simply respect religion from afar, this video will challenge you to think critically. We'll explore 5 major areas where religious teachings can mislead, distort facts, or encourage unquestioning acceptance. My goal isn't to bash faith or spirituality, but to encourage healthy skepticism and a search for truth. If you enjoy this critical look and value honest discussion, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a video where we tackle controversial topics with respect and curiosity. Let's get started. Many religions present their moral codes as universally perfect and divinely ordained. But is morality truly absolute? For example, what one faith deems a mortal sin, another may bless as a virtue. This inconsistency suggests moral codes evolve with culture rather than emanating from a single infallible source. Furthermore, the idea that questioning a commandment equals moral failure can suppress critical thinking. When moral guidance comes with threats of eternal damnation, it shifts motivation from genuine empathy to fear-based compliance. Real moral growth arises from understanding the consequences of our choices, not memorizing "thou shalt nots." By framing morality as a checklist, religion can stunt ethical development. True ethical reasoning demands dialogue, empathy, and an appreciation for complexity qualities often sidelined when rules are labeled sacred. In the next segment, we'll examine another common religious misdirection: manipulating historical facts. Religious texts often blend myth, allegory, and history in ways that can mislead believers into treating legends as literal events. Take the story of creation in many traditions. It's poetic and purposeful, yet it conflicts with scientific evidence about the universe's age and evolution. When these narratives are taught as undisputed fact, critical inquiry gets sidelined. Over time, historical inaccuracies can morph into dogma. Think flood myths repeated across cultures, or genealogies that claim unbroken descent from divine figures. This blurring makes it difficult to separate meaningful allegory from literal history, undermining trust in institutions when contradictions arise. Recognizing these texts as symbolic rather than scientific records frees us to appreciate their wisdom without sacrificing intellectual honesty. Up next, we'll explore how religion often channels personal guilt into institutional power. Guilt is a powerful emotion, and many religious institutions harness it to maintain authority. From an early age, believers are taught that certain thoughts or desires are sinful, burying innate curiosity and self-acceptance under layers of shame. This emotional manipulation can drive people to seek absolution through rituals, donations, or unquestioning obedience, reinforcing the institution's power and wealth. The result? Personal growth stalls as individuals remain trapped in a cycle of confession and penance. True healing comes from understanding the root causes of guilt and working through them, not from weekly rituals or fear of divine punishment. When religion markets guilt as the price of spiritual progress, it benefits the institution more than the individual. But there's more. Let's move on to how religious exclusivity often breeds division. Many religions teach that their path is the only valid one, creating an us you vs, them dynamic. This exclusivity can foster intolerance, discrimination, and even violence against those with different beliefs. History is full of examples: crusades, inquisitions, sectarian violence, all justified by the notion that only one truth exists. In modern times, this mindset still fuels conflict and social division. Yet, the world is far more diverse and interconnected than ever before, and moral truths often overlap across cultures. Recognizing that multiple faiths and philosophies can offer insights into ethical living, purpose, and community promotes empathy and cooperation. Moving beyond exclusivity doesn't require abandoning one's beliefs. It simply means acknowledging value in different perspectives. Finally, let's examine the promise of supernatural intervention. Perhaps the most enticing religious claim is that a divine being watches over us, ready to intervene in our lives. Whether it's answered prayers, miracles, or predestined paths, this belief can provide comfort, but it can also lead to passivity. When individuals rely on supernatural fixes, they may neglect practical action, seeking medical care, setting personal goals, or working for social justice. Expecting a miracle can become an excuse to avoid responsibility. Moreover, attributing positive outcomes solely to divine grace ignores the hard work and collaboration that made them possible. By combining faith with proactive effort, research, planning, and community support, we achieve more balanced and realistic results. One of the most emotionally devastating lies perpetuated by many religions is the idea of eternal damnation. Imagine making a mistake in a single lifetime, something as small as a thought or a misstep, and being condemned to an eternity of suffering. The disproportion between the act and the punishment reveals a deeply flawed moral compass. Why would an all-loving deity require endless torture as a consequence? This belief often keeps people in a state of fear rather than moral responsibility. Instead of learning from mistakes and growing as human beings, followers are terrified of making a wrong move. Eternal punishment stifles progress and keeps people emotionally dependent on religious institutions for salvation. In reality, most ethical systems agree that justice should be fair, proportionate, and reformative, not infinitely punitive. Let's now examine how religion often exploits people's fear of death. The fear of death is universal. Religion offers comfort by promising an afterlife heaven, paradise, reincarnation, or spiritual transcendence. But in doing so, many faiths use death as a marketing tool. Believe in this dogma, follow this rule, give to this cause, and you'll be rewarded after death. This promise can discourage people from fully engaging with their current lives. Instead of seeking purpose, happiness, and fulfillment here and now, believers may obsess over an unproven eternity. This dynamic is ripe for abuse. Leaders can guilt followers into obedience or financial support by threatening eternal consequences. The truth is, no one knows what happens after death. By embracing that uncertainty, we're free to focus on creating meaning in the one life we're sure we have. Up next, let's discuss how religion can suppress scientific inquiry. Throughout history, scientific progress has often clashed with religious doctrine. From Galileo's heliocentric model to Darwin's theory of evolution, religious institutions have frequently rejected discoveries that challenged Scripture. Why? Because scientific inquiry threatens absolute authority. If a holy book is proven wrong about the cosmos, what else might it be wrong about? Religion's resistance to science can delay advancements in medicine, astronomy, and even social progress. For example, opposition to stem cell research or climate science often stems from religious ideologies. By discouraging curiosity and promoting truth by faith, religion can hinder innovation and progress. A society that values both spiritual wisdom and empirical evidence will be better equipped to evolve and thrive. Now, let's look at how religion has historically marginalized women. Many religious doctrines explicitly position women as subordinate to men. From rules that bar women from leadership to purity laws that control their bodies, the inequality is often justified as divinely ordained. These teachings have contributed to systemic sexism for centuries. They dictate everything from how women dress, to their role in marriage, to their place in worship. In some traditions, women can't even speak in religious gatherings. This inequality isn't rooted in truth, it's rooted in power. Controlling women ensures male-dominated structures remain unchallenged. But when you examine the core values of compassion, justice, and equality, it's clear that gender oppression contradicts any moral high ground. The lie that women are less than continues to impact millions, and it's time that faith evolves to reflect humanity's progress. Coming up, how religion profits from poverty. Religions often claim to serve the poor, but many profit from them instead. In communities with scarce resources, churches, temples, or mosques may still demand tithes, offerings, or donations. People struggling to feed their families are told that giving to God will lead to blessings. This exploitative dynamic preys on desperation and faith. Religious leaders sometimes live in luxury while their followers stay trapped in economic hardship. The prosperity gospel, in particular, teaches that wealth is a sign of divine favor, so if you're poor, you must lack faith. It's a cruel lie. True compassion uplifts the vulnerable without asking for returns. Faith should inspire community aid, not manipulate the most desperate into financing institutions. Next, let's look at how religion suppresses individual identity. One of the more insidious ways religion exerts control is by suppressing individuality. From gender roles to sexuality, from clothing to career paths, religion often imposes rigid molds that leave little room for personal expression. You're taught who you should be rather than encouraged to discover it yourself. For instance, many LGBTQ+ individuals grow up believing that their very identity is sinful or broken. This rejection leads to trauma, depression, and isolation. Even outside of sexuality, followers may be told their ambitions or personality traits conflict with God's plan. This can rob people of their authentic selves, forcing them to conform to a narrative that doesn't fit. In a world that should celebrate diversity, religion too often preaches uniformity. True spiritual growth should allow space for self-exploration, not self-denial. Up next, we'll uncover how religion manufactures false certainty. Many religions promise absolute answers to life's biggest questions. Where did we come from? What happens after death? What is our purpose? These answers, presented with divine authority, offer comfort, but also close the door on curiosity. Religion often markets itself as a one-stop solution, discouraging people from exploring other philosophies, scientific theories, or even personal experiences that might challenge the script. This illusion of certainty can lead to arrogance, intolerance, and an inability to handle ambiguity. The truth is, life is full of unknowns. Embracing uncertainty is not weakness, it's wisdom. It opens the mind to new ideas, fosters humility, and encourages dialogue. Clinging to rigid beliefs out of fear of the unknown only stunts intellectual and emotional growth. In the next segment, we'll examine how religion uses prophecy as manipulation. Prophecy is a powerful tool used by many religious institutions. The idea that sacred texts predicted modern events, or that spiritual leaders can foresee the future, can inspire awe, but it also creates dependency. Believers may start making life decisions based on interpretations of vague or symbolic prophecies. Worse, some may accept disasters or injustice as God's plan, removing the need for action or accountability. Prophecies are often vague enough to be retroactively fulfilled or twisted to fit current events. This keeps followers engaged, obedient, and emotionally invested, even when nothing truly verifiable occurs. The danger lies in surrendering critical thought and agency to interpretations of mystical writings. Instead of focusing on building a better world through tangible efforts, people may wait passively for divine intervention. Now let's discuss how religion weaponizes sin. Sin is one of religion's most potent weapons. It draws a line between right and wrong, but often without context or compassion. What's deemed sinful frequently aligns with institutional control rather than universal ethics. Behaviors natural to human beings, like sexual curiosity, questioning authority, or exploring other beliefs, are labeled sinful to maintain obedience. The result? Shame, guilt, and internal conflict. This concept allows religious leaders to regulate thought and behavior under the guise of moral concern. It can justify exclusion, punishment, and even violence. In truth, sin is often just a label, one that reflects the power structures of a particular time and place, not eternal truth. We should be wary of systems that condemn without nuance and punish without empathy. Next, let's look at how religion resists social progress. History shows us that religion often lags behind society when it comes to progress. Whether it's the abolition of slavery, women's suffrage, or LGBTQ+ rights, religious institutions have frequently been the loudest voices of resistance. Why? Because social progress threatens the status quo. When power dynamics shift, so too does control, and religion often fears losing that influence. Religious texts are sometimes cited to justify racism, homophobia, sexism, and other outdated ideologies, all under the banner of tradition. While some faith groups evolve, others dig in, refusing to adapt. But morality is not static. It must grow alongside our understanding of justice, empathy, and equality. By clinging to the past, religion risks becoming irrelevant to modern ethical discussions. Up next, how religion uses miracles as marketing. Miracles, spontaneous healings, apparitions, unexplained phenomena are central to many religions. These stories capture the imagination and inspire belief, but they also serve as highly effective marketing tools. Claims of miracles often lack verifiable evidence, yet are repeated across generations to reinforce faith and attract new followers. Religious leaders or institutions may highlight modern-day miracles to boost attendance or donations. The psychological impact of these events can be profound, especially among those seeking hope or healing. But miracles can distract from real-world efforts like medical treatments, scientific explanations, or mental health support that actually save lives. They also set up false expectations and lead to disillusionment when prayers go unanswered. Genuine wonder doesn't require supernatural explanations. Appreciating life's complexity is miraculous in itself. Next, we'll look at how religion rewrites history. Religions have a long history of rewriting events to fit their narratives. Whether it's portraying violent crusades as holy missions, erasing the contributions of other cultures, or whitewashing colonial atrocities, religious institutions often reshape history to appear morally superior. This manipulation distorts public understanding and teaches a biased worldview. In textbooks, sermons, and sacred texts, complex historical events are oversimplified into battles of good versus evil where, conveniently, the religion in question always represents good. Such revisionism not only misleads, but fuels nationalism, xenophobia, and cultural erasure. When we ignore history's full truth, we repeat its mistakes. It's essential to question the origin of any historical claim that serves a religious agenda. Up next, let's explore how religion creates artificial scarcity. Some religions operate like exclusive clubs, offering salvation or enlightenment only through their specific doctrines. This creates artificial spiritual scarcity, the idea that access to the divine is limited and only they hold the key. This lie fosters dependency and discourages spiritual exploration. Believers are told that outside paths lead to doom, and that doubt is dangerous. But spirituality isn't limited to any one tradition. It's deeply personal and can be experienced in nature, relationships, art, or solitude. No institution has a monopoly on transcendence. When religion claims exclusive access to the divine, it's less about truth and more about control. Let's now explore how religion discourages personal accountability. Many religions preach that forgiveness comes from an external source, often a deity or religious leader. While forgiveness is valuable, this belief can undermine personal accountability. If one believes they're absolved by simply confessing or performing a ritual, where is the incentive to change? This dynamic allows harmful behavior to persist so long as the sinner seeks divine pardon. Worse, it can enable repeated wrongdoing without true remorse or restitution. Real growth comes from owning our actions, making amends, and committing to change, not outsourcing responsibility to the supernatural. Let's wrap this section up with one final major deception: the idea of divine favoritism. Religions often teach that some people are chosen favored by God, predestined for greatness, or part of a chosen people. This belief can breed elitism and division. It suggests that others, by default, are less worthy or spiritually inferior. Throughout history, this lie has justified colonization, genocide, and systemic injustice. When people believe their suffering is due to divine rejection, or that others deserve pain for not believing the right way, it perpetuates inequality and cruelty. The truth? No one group holds a monopoly on worth, goodness, or spiritual value. Divinity, if it exists, is not limited to one race, creed, or culture. Real unity comes from recognizing our shared humanity, not dividing ourselves by whose God loves whom more. One of the most damaging messages religion often promotes is that faith should be blind. Just believe, they say, even if it doesn't make sense. Questioning is labeled as rebellion or spiritual weakness. This discourages people, especially children, from developing critical thinking skills. Instead of asking, "Why do I believe this?" or "Does this align with reality?" followers are conditioned to suppress doubt. But genuine growth requires doubt.